Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to my show, High Road to Humanity. In every episode, I tell you powerful true stories filled with great wisdom that you can use in your own life as you strive for a higher road to travel. My featured guests will have their own unique stories to tell that enlighten your mind and your soul. So kick back, relax, and learn the secret to success when you take the high road.
First touch, strong connection, it lays deep in your soul.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And I'm here today with Maureen St. Germain, and we're going to be talking about all different things. Here's one thing we're going to talk about, and that's the 12 points of light, and I'm excited about that. We've never been able to make it through beyond the flower of life, so we're going to talk about that today. So we've got lots to share with the audience, so I'm excited that she's here today. Before I get started, though, let me just kind of give you some good news today that's happening in humanity. It's been a kind of a crazy day for me already, and Maureen too. So I'm going to throw out some good news. So here's the headline. A certain kind of smile can repair relationships that have been damaged by mistrust. Wow. So a smile, this is what it says. A smile is the key to 1,000 doors, but deploying it in every situation without mastery of its use is dangerous, says a new social science study. So they say it takes 400 muscles to smile. Well, scientists at Queen's University, Belfast, found that subtle differences in the way in which a person smiled had not so subtle impacts on the opinions which the test participants had about the smiler. Okay. Smiling at another person does not always lead to trust and cooperation, said Dr. Stephanie Carpenter from the University of Michigan, a co-author of the study. Subtle differences in a smile can have a real impact on whether people trust each other and choose to cooperate. In fact, the way you smile in a good or bad situation can impact whether people trust you. This is really crazy. So while playing, I won't read the whole thing, but while playing a set of economic games, such as those that require trust to create value for both partners, or which can confer more value for a single person willing to deceive the subject individuals first display uncooperative behavior and thus triggers a loss of trust or confidence in their partner. So I guess we need to just really watch how we smile. Because
Yeah, well, can you demonstrate what kind of smile that would be?
yeah, I'm going to smile at I'm going to smirk. Isn't that called a smirk?
What, like this? I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I understand the premise, but what actually is the kind
Well,
of
and then it says after untrustworthy or uncooperative behavior, a reward smile, a big ear-to-ear smile like a kid who got the ice cream he was begging for, and a dominant smile like a smirky sign of superiority. See, I said that.
those are good?
I don't know. However, the affiliation smile, which seems to have a hint of regret, like the smile of someone might have after consoling a dear friend, the broken relationship, and to trust the person who has just done something unfair. I don't know. What about the genuine smile? Yes.
The genuine smile is when the eyes squint. You know, so many people look really big-eyed, and then
You're like, that's not for real. Hey, Maureen St. Germain's here today. She has over 25 years of experience in the areas of mystical and sacred traditions. Known as the practical mystic, Maureen is a prolific teacher and a facilitator of spiritual knowledge for contemporary life. She's a clear channel from source. She's continuously researching, developing, introducing new methods that will help you connect with your own wisdom, channel, and inspire your spiritual awakening. Welcome back to High Road to Humanity, Miss Maureen.
thank you. And thank you for, we play well together.
Thank you.
We play well together, and we go through trauma well together. So that's cool.
Do the best we can do. Well, I don't know what you want to talk about first. If you want to talk about the 12
points of light.
12 points of light. Okay. No, this is cool. 12 points of light. Humanity needs a little boost, you say. So talk to us about this.
Okay, so about a year ago, one of the people in my year-long program, Ascension Institute, was given a message by the Ashtar Command, basically saying that there have been 12 points of light that the beneficial galactics, get that out, Maureen, beneficial galactics have released onto the planet, but we have to go get it, and we have to like carry water. And the reason for that is because we have free will, and free will means they can't interfere, but they can, I'll call it deposit gold, but we have to go pick it up. So what they did is they created this awareness, and then I created a meditation to go with it. And the meditation is guided, and it takes you to any one of 12 points of light on the planet. And every once in a while I hear from somebody saying, oh, I think such and such is one of the 12 points. Well, I waited a whole year asking people for feedback, and then we went back into guidance and asked again. So the 12 points I'm fairly confident of, but if you feel really strongly about one of those, a different point of light, then use it. And maybe there'll be another anchoring of light. Maybe the idea of 12 points of light is simply a metaphor, many points of light.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I listened to your meditation this morning, but I've never understood. You told one point of light. Can you tell us the 12 points, like where they are?
They're in the guided meditation. In other words, this is a very good question.
Okay.
The original meditation listed the points we thought. Some of those didn't make the cut, and new ones were added. Now, do you understand?
Yeah.
And I printed the list on the website. So if a person just grabs the meditation and doesn't read the list, then they don't know what the 12 points are. And what I did is I re-recorded the content of the meditation, but I left the intro the way it was and just cut off where I started listing some of the cities, because they changed. So the 12 points of light are on my website.
Okay.
And we could list them right now, or maybe you want to put them on your website and just,
Well, just tell me what they are. And because where do I find them on your website? Because that was something, I want to pull them.
Okay. So they are on MaureenSt.Germain.com.
Okay.
/blog.
Okay.
So you go to my website.
Okay.
And then you scroll down.
Okay.
And it is listed. So
Okay.
the actual blog post is called Time to Choose. And
Right. And that was really cool because here's the deal, you guys, we need to increase our light. And that's why we're doing this meditation. Can I say that, Maureen? Is that cool?
Absolutely.
Let me give you this information. So we can choose the light daily is what she says. So, and I wrote down also, it's the Council of Nine that gave us this information. And I did the meditation this morning. It was very nice, by the way. It was really a nice meditation. And it wasn't that long. It was like maybe 10, 15 minutes, really.
Right.
So what are
the first point of light is Jasper National Park, Mount Edith. And Mount Edith is also the place where Angel Glacier is. So on one side of that mountain is this famous glacier called Angel Glacier.
Okay.
And, you're going underneath in the mountain. The next one is the Mariana Trench. That's near Japan. And that's known as the deepest place on the planet. Okay. Then the Greek island and a monastery of the Holy Trinity near Athens.
Okay.
In Alaska, the Tracy Arm Fjord. In Brazil, the Christ the Redeemer statue. Beneath that statue, this mountain called Corcovado Mountain in Brazil.
Okay.
In Switzerland, the Matterhorn. In Australia, the Great Barrier Reef in Queensland. Okay. In Madagascar, the Tingzi de Bahara Stone Forest. And that's another one that's very, very sacred. A lot of people who go there feel like they're stone cathedrals. In Cuba, it is the Cathedral of San Carlos Borromeo. So you have to go into Jovellanos, Cuba, energetically. In Egypt, it would be the Great Hall of Records, the chamber below the Great Pyramid. The Galapagos Islands off San Cristobal. And then in Argentina, close to Chile, it is the Bariloche area, Chubut, Santa Cruz region, including the border part of Chile. So there's a circle of these area, and there's mountains there, and then it would be in that location.
All right. So explain to people what these points of light are exactly.
So what happened is the beneficial galactics, or the benefic galactics, anchored a huge sphere of light, kind of like looking at like this. Okay.
Mhm.
This is my flower of life star tetrahedron. Okay. So it's kind of like that.
Oh,
In fact,
cool.
it actually looks like this because it's got a pedestal that it sits on, and that pedestal doesn't hold it. It just sits below it, like it's elevated. It's like levitating.
Okay.
And then they anchored this huge amount of light. Now, the cool thing about the 12 points of light is first thing you do is you get a gift for yourself. And it can be anything you want, anything you can think of. And it could be something material. It could be something spiritual. It could be something for yourself. It can't be for someone else unless they've already asked for that. So let's say you're a parent that you want your kid to get married. You can't ask for that unless they say, I really would like to find a beloved. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like that.
Yes. Yes.
So you have to be aware that you don't want to be putting your will or your ideas on someone else. You could pray for humanity. And we describe all that in the meditation, where there's things you can do, you know, for humanity to get along, for humanity to trust one another and, you know, move into a higher place of expression. It doesn't matter. Your job is to pick one wish. And then what the galactics do is they infuse in you this same light. And then when you are out and about in the world, whether you're on a bus, in your car, in the park, it's going to diffuse out of you. And it just affects everyone and impacts them in a very subtle, low-key way, kind of like the reverse of chemtrails.
I like that. Oh, that's really good, Maureen, actually. Well, I think it's wonderful. I did it and I did, or am I supposed to keep my wish to myself? Is it like that?
Well,
Okay,
you
yeah.
could, I mean, you can share it if you
Oh, I
want.
can tell you guys. Yeah, well, I just, well, no, I just wish that people heard our messages, my message every week that
Very
I
good.
give my voice to
You want to grow
humanity.
our audience.
Yeah, I want the audience well, I just want everybody to know about the divine and to understand and to learn and to,
And
you
to
know,
help with their lives.
yeah, it helps everybody. So anyway, that's what I did. And do you now how often
Or
do
you
you
can, yeah, you can wish for something else the next time you do it.
yeah, what now do you do this often or how often do you do this?
We've
You
been
do.
doing it every day for a while. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's very, very powerful. And the cool thing is you can listen to the intro a couple of times, and then if you're in a hurry, just listen to the actual meditation. You know,
Yeah.
the intro is 3 minutes long and the meditation's about 13 minutes long.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're not talking a huge investment. And that's the other thing, you know, people don't have a lot of time, and better to give, you know, spirit 13 minutes of focused time
Yeah.
than a half an hour of meditating where your mind is wandering, you know?
Right. And this is free too, you guys, on her website. So if you go to Maureen St. Germain or it is MaureenSt.Germain.com. Yes. And
Yeah.
then you'll it's her blog and she has it right there. And it's 12 points of light. Hey, listen, we got to go to commercial break real quick. We're doing the podcast today. We're going to be talking about her book, Beyond the Flower of Life, and some more information when we come back. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back. Hi, it's Nancy Yearout, and this is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Maureen St. Germain. We're going to talk a little bit about the annual full moon youthing ceremony that she has going on September 20th. It's from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time, and you must register in advance for this event. This is a ceremony that will help you release some common beliefs and patterns. Talk about this, Maureen.
Well, first of all, there is a small fee for this one. This one's not free,
Okay.
but it is available online. And if you live near me in Clarkdale,
Oh, she froze there for a second. Maureen, are you there? Hello?
Arizona, you can you're on it. And
Okay.
this is one of my most favorite ceremonies. And part of it is because of what I will call appearance. You know, we all want to look our best. We want to look young. And everybody I know keeps telling me that I'm getting younger. And I claim that, by the way. I accept that. Yeah, it's a great compliment. And thank you very much. It's true. So
Hold up that flyer again. You left us for a minute on the computer.
Yeah, you know, my internet thing went funky.
Yeah. So hold that flyer up again. It's that
Okay.
you had. Yes. Okay, you guys, this is it. The annual fountain. Oh, it's the annual fountain of youth. See, you guys, that's what we missed. Okay. All right. Continue on. I just wanted everybody to see that.
What I do
Okay.
is I teach people ways to get younger. I teach people ways to stay young, and ways to teach your body how to access your own eternal youth. We actually have a DNA that was meant to autocorrect, if you will, anything that was wrong with us. And that got unplugged. And so I help people reconnect it. They have to do it themselves. I don't do for others. You know, there's a lot of people who will give you a DNA activation or do this. That's not what I believe in. I believe that we need to do everything ourselves.
Right.
I might lead you through it and give you a activation that you repeat after me, or that you claim as yours, but I'm not, you know, I'm just the conduit. I'm just the
Right.
conduit. So it comes from the ancient tradition of sacred ritual out of the heart of Africa. And it's based on the idea that on the harvest moon, the horizon and the moon are almost touching, so much so they could roll back the clock a year. And it's cumulative. So it really is true that you could get younger and younger instead
I
of
love it.
accepting, you know, what people used to say, the inevitable. And I don't claim that anymore. You know, and every once in a while I get an email from someone saying, how old are you? And I always say I'm ageless, but I am old enough to have grandkids.
Mhm.
And that's a little bit telling. And I do a lot of things to stay young, but none of them outside of not seeing a medical doctor. Let's just put it that way.
They're all spiritual, is
They're
what you're saying.
spiritual,
Yeah.
or I'm not above using lotions and creams,
Right.
or you know, essential oils or anything like that. But
Well, Maureen, I want to say something about this. I believe, I think I look pretty young too, because I have grandkids too. And I'll tell you, I think it's because we do bring in the light every day and we are connected to God. And I just feel like the more spiritual you are, this is just my own feeling, the more spiritual you are, the more young you become, if that makes sense. Don't you feel that way? I think it's the light, the energy, the rejuvenation. I think it's the rejuvenation of the energy that we bring in on a daily basis that makes us look young. What do you think?
I think that's true. And it's totally true.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what this is. That's what this is.
So yeah, so we're constantly creating heaven on earth, and in heaven we don't age. So there you go.
So what happens? So if they want to sign up for this, this is it goes for an hour and it's on Zoom.
Yeah, and we always give people more than an hour, but we say, you know,
Okay.
we're gonna talk at least for an hour and take you through a little ceremony and
Okay.
give you an opportunity to ask questions.
Okay.
And you'll also get a free copy of our Fountain of Youth CD, which is a wonderful tool to also take you back. You know, I have a blend, Fountain of Youth essential oil blend.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it's
What
one
it-
of the 24
okay.
Aramandalas.
Okay.
And those blends are, well, they look like this, you know, they're this is the label. Okay, this is called Remembrance. But the blends, the Fountain of Youth blend goes with the Fountain of Youth CD, and you can use it alone or with the meditation. But what it does is it clears irritation.
I think I need that.
Yeah,
That would help. So if you want any of her oils or CDs or anything, go to her website. It's maureenstgermain.com and you'll be able to pick this stuff up. And I think I'm going to do this meditation because I think this would be very beneficial on September 20th. It's from 7 to 8 Eastern time. Hey, listen, we're going to go to commercial break because we're doing the podcast too. This is Nancy You're Out. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back. Go figure. Hi, this is Nancy You're Out. This is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with one of my favorite guests, Maureen St. Germain. We're going to talk a little bit about the flower of life. You know, Maureen, this book has been out for a little bit, but you redid it. So why, this is the anniversary edition, right?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting scenario. Yeah, this
Talk
book,
about this.
This book was originally released about 13 years ago.
Yeah.
We sold over 10,000 copies.
Right.
And it really did well as a self-published book. So those of you who are trying to get yourself, to the next level, go ahead and self-publish.
I know.
And then when if the publishers like your work, they'll pick it up. This happened also to other authors I know who self-published, and then their book was picked up. But when you sell this many copies as a self-published book, the publishers usually figure they can sell a lot more with their network that they've got in place. And it's true, because it's been translated into a bunch of languages. All my books add up to about 12 languages. And so, the word is out. But this book is a wonderful tool because it's been updated. Like, for example, I teach the higher self connection, and that I have 2 chapters devoted to the higher self connection, explaining why my method works, why it's highly accurate, and why it's a piece of cake to learn. And in the original book, I had 7 rules on how to make this happen. And in the current version, it's down to 3. It's the same information, but we distilled it into a little bit smaller precision. And I'll tell you what those 3 things are to get your higher self connection.
Okay.
You practice for 45 days, yes, no questions. So you have to ask your higher self for a symbol or signal. And that's probably one of the trickiest things. But you sit in meditation and you ask higher self, give me my my yes or no signal. And it could be an itchy ear. It could be a sensation on the, one side of your body. When you ask for no, it might be a feeling in your stomach. It might be your toe itching, or, you're never going to get something that's painful that you don't want to stay. It could be pressure. It could be maybe a sharp attention, but it isn't. Okay, so you get your signals for yes, no, and neutral. And then you practice on unimportant stuff for 45 days. And that is pretty easy. The tricky part is the second rule, and that is you must follow through. So, if you're looking at a really yummy croissant or donut or some, dessert treat that you really like, and you're trying to decide whether to get it, if you really want it, don't ask your higher self, just get it.
Just get it. Yeah.
Get it. And if you are open to being told no, then if you get told no, you pass. So that's the second rule. And the third rule is no other forms of divination. So that means no muscle testing, no pendulums, none of that. And it doesn't mean that stuff's bad. It simply is you're learning the language of your higher self. You don't want to be tempted to test it or to check it out. And remember, if you start testing, like asking questions that you can predict what the answer will be, you have moved it from unimportant to important, because testing would make it important. So,
right. So they have to be unimportant question, you guys, and you have to ask your higher self, what is a sign for yes and what is a sign for no. And that was I think my most difficult thing when I did this initially with you, or, I read the book and I was doing this, because you have to kind of get those signals down. And then once you do, it's quite interesting. But again, you say in the book, don't ask anything important, just like, should I make this for dinner or whatever, right?
And that's another thing. The should question is how we talk.
Yeah.
But when we're asking higher self, it is it in my highest and best good? Because for most decisions, there are 5 possible choices: 2 below grade and 3 above grade. 2 above grade are good, but the one that's closest to your higher self is the ideal choice. And sometimes that one is counterintuitive. Okay. So what I did in the book is I put a table in here. Okay. And gave people some examples, and they're all over the map. So you can look at the examples and go, oh yeah, I did get a signal. I didn't think that was what I was supposed to count. Someone's for a yes signal was an open door, and they mentally saw that, but that wasn't their signal. They somehow dismiss it with their mind. And all these other possibilities, then it makes it easier to say, yeah, oh yeah, I guess I did get
it. That's funny. Well, and tell us, you talk about the Merkaba, and you talk about the difference between intuition and your higher self. Oh, you're pulling out the Merkaba. Look at that. That's cool. Where'd you get that?
I got it at the design store of,
oh my gosh.
Not Copenhagen Designs, but another one like them.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think I did get it at Copenhagen. They actually have 3 sizes. This is the largest one. And then they have a medium and a small, and it's made out of ceramic. It's pretty yummy.
That is neat.
So it's great for demos,
Yeah.
This shape we call the Merkaba, but it's truly a star tetrahedron because there's two tetrahedrons, one on top and one on the bottom, and they're nested evenly. So that's what people call the Merkaba. But the interesting thing is it's really not a Merkaba till we turn it on. And so think of a car, a car has a fan belt, it has a motor, it has a drivetrain, it has wheels, it has a chassis. And until we turn it on, it's really not an effective car. You could have a car sitting in the driveway that doesn't run. And
Right.
someone says, well, do you have a car? You might say no, because the car that's in the driveway doesn't work. So everybody has one. Everybody has this shape around their bodies, but not everyone has it turned on. And so you can have it turn on spontaneously. You can have it turn on with your intention, or you can learn, like driver's ed, to turn on your Merkaba. And then this book gives you a lot of the whys and what fors, and how, it's like an operating manual in the last couple of chapters on the actual Merkaba. Anybody who does meditation will benefit from this book.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there's tons of information that's, related to any kind of meditation, but there is some specific stuff with regard to the Merkaba. And one of the things I really want to emphasize is the Merkaba is the energetic field that, when activated, allows us to step into our 5D expression, or our 5D uniform. And we all know that when we wear a uniform, we get more respect. And I'm kind of being funny here with the words, but this energy of the Merkaba around the body, once we turn it on, and we turn it on every day with the idea that at some point it'll go permanent. And when it goes permanent, then we don't have to turn it on every day. But the reason the higher self connection is so powerful with this is because those two together are unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable. And they really give you the breakthrough you're looking for. So
I think that's really awesome. It's exciting. This is very exciting. Now, as far as the book, you said it's out in a lot of different countries. I just want to ask you this question. What country has really given you the most response? I'm just curious on the Merkaba and the book, Beyond the Flower of Life.
Well, I was the first one to bring the Merkaba to Bulgaria.
Oh.
I've taught in Scotland and the UK. And so I have a big following there. Australia, I have a very big following, and China is probably the biggest.
Really?
I'm still teaching in China. Yeah, I teach in China 3 or 4 times a year. When I first started traveling to China about 5 or 6 years ago, I would end up being there for almost a month every time I went.
Oh my gosh.
And
they were just amazed by this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And now, of course, we do everything on Zoom. So
yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So you also, you talk about there's some barriers to the higher self. Do you want to address that? We've got about 4 minutes to commercial break.
Some of the barriers are personality, our ego, not trusting it. And that's why the higher self practice period is 45 days. Because one of the, when you think about it, how do you make a decision? How do you make a decision?
Mm-hmm.
You do research, you check with your friends, you read the reviews online, and then you make a decision. So the ego personality wants you to be safe. The ego is not the enemy. The ego is your friend, because it wants you to be safe. It wants you to get what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start working with your higher self or intuition, if you don't have a track record, you can't trust it all the time. And you're going to let your ego make the decisions that are really important. And then you regret it because you knew better. Your intuition told you better.
Right.
So the benefit of working with the higher self is that the barrier to entry, which is the history, you've taken care of, because once you've done 6 weeks of practice about stupid, unimportant stuff, you get this huge benefit. Now, I don't know if I've told you this story. I've told it a lot about waiting in line at a museum.
No.
Okay, this is a great story. Very good example. Now, this is, of course, after you've had your 6 weeks of practice, then your higher self will give you answers to anything about your choices and what, a benefit. So I'm coming back from China. I'm on a Zoom call with my husband, and we're making plans for the day after I come back. And I wanted to go to a concert in Los Angeles. We were living in San Diego at the time. And we were going to go to the Los Angeles Museum of Art. And it's one of our favorite places. We were members there. And my husband said, there's a new museum that just opened up. It's called the Broad Museum. And why don't we go and see that one first, since the concert's not till like 6:00.
Yeah.
And I proceeded to read him the right act and say, look, that's a terrible idea. I'll be flying for 15 hours. Maybe I'd want to sleep in, blah, 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 right? Wine, wine, wine. And then when I got all through with my little rant, I said, but I'll check in with my higher self. If my higher self says I should go, I'll go. And of course, my higher self said go. So we got up at 6:30, even though I'd been traveling the day before.
Yeah.
Took our breakfast in the car, grabbed it at a pickup place and ate in the car on the way up. Stood in line at 9:00 for opening at 10. There were so many people. There were over 100 people in line at 9:00 for free entry. We got in line for special entry, so we were going to pay extra, but we would be like the last ones in. And then there was a special line of people who knew this place was going to open up and had bought tickets 6 months ago.
Oh my gosh.
Today weren't available. Okay.
Yeah.
So a lady that I don't know walks up to my line and says, does anybody want free tickets to early entry? I've got 2 extra tickets. And I'm looking around thinking I want them, but nobody says anything. So I said, well, I'll take them. Oh no, we want to give them to 2 people. And I said, well, my husband just went for coffee. It really is 2 people. So she says, well, you're going to have to come back and stand in line with me. So as I'm following her back, my higher self comes in and says, you need to talk to these people. So I'm pretty friendly. That's usually not a problem.
Yeah.
And we start chatting for a few seconds. And then the mom, there were 3 people, a husband, a wife, their son, and the grandma. So the mom hands me her reservation form and says, I'm going up front. You're going to need this if we get separated. And I look at the paper and it has a very long German name, but it was a name I knew. And I said, I used to know a family by that name, but they're from Ohio. And the man said, well, we're from Ohio.
Oh my gosh.
And without skipping a beat, his mother, the grandma, looked at me and said, are you Maureen?
Oh my God.
And it turns out that this woman, Pat, was a very close friend of my mother's for, 20 or some years when they were both in Ohio and, raising families and in the same industry. And, we're chatting and I'm, my usual friendly self. And I said, well, if you ever wanted to go to New York, you're welcome to use my apartment in New York because we're not there very often. And, he said, well, actually 2 of our daughters are in school in New York. That would be wonderful if we could use
Oh
your
my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Time goes by and I call him up one day and I said, do you think either one of your daughters would like to work for me? My assistant isn't working for me anymore and I need a new assistant. His daughter was the best assistant I ever had. And
is that your assistant now?
No.
Oh,
That was
okay.
in New York. She was, in school in New York and they,
Okay.
graduated.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah. And then when she left, she asked if she could send her friend. And I said, sure. And her friend turned out to be equally as good, if not better than the first
Oh my
one.
gosh.
And these
Oh my
girls were,
gosh.
dance majors, but they were really, really smart.
Smart. Yeah.
Super smart, able to, listen to anything I asked them to do and just cut right through. It was amazing.
Fantastic.
And
Fantastic.
then, if that wasn't enough, I sent my mom a picture of me and Pat, and she was totally blown away. The randomness of me meeting her
Oh
close
my
friend. And those
gosh.
2 women were still friends at that point.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't get to see each other because they were
Yeah.
in cities.
Yeah.
And my mother says to me, Pat and your father were first cousins. She and I had the same maiden name. And I didn't know that.
Oh, crazy. Hey, we got to go to commercial break. Thanks for telling us that story. I'm here today with Maureen St. Germain. Her book that she is so famous for is Beyond the Flower of Life, you guys. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back. Nancy Yearout, this is High Road to Humanity. I'm back here with Maureen St. Germain. Sorry I had to stop you there, but we got to try to get this in for the podcast so that all the listeners can hear. So finish anything that you wanted to complete on that story, Maureen.
So my the moral, if you will, of the story is your higher self may tell you to do something that you think is a bad idea. But if you
Oh.
don't have history of 6 weeks of practice with all kinds of cool stuff happening randomly, you're not going to trust it. So the 6 weeks of practice gives you the ability to absolutely know your higher self is always right. And of course, everybody will at least once not do what their higher self says. And then they make the decision, okay, I'm going to follow my higher self no matter what, because it's always got my, it's always got my back.
Mhm.
And I'm, this cascade of yummy things that happened, all because I said yes to something I did not want to do.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy how that worked out? That is amazing. Now, has your mom and her friend gotten to see each other,
Well, they were
Or-
going to see each other like the following week, but my mother was
Yeah.
not feeling well and passed away before they could reconnect. So,
Oh, God
they,
bless.
they had a nice connection
Oh,
going, but
yeah.
they didn't actually get to see each other in person again, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, tell everybody why this does work so well. Why does it work so well, Maureen?
I think there's 3 reasons why it works so well. The first one is we've already talked about, that you get history, and the
Right.
history builds self-confidence and it helps you see. And if you're asking about stuff you don't care about, it opens the door. So let's say somebody shows up at your house and you say, well, would you like something to drink? I've got juice, I've got this, I've got this. And they say, okay, I'll have the juice. And you open your refrigerator and you realize, oh, the juice is gone. But when you ask your higher self what to offer them, higher self, what's in the highest best good to offer them, your higher self will tell you what you have an abundance of, and you forget to name the juice. And so, it's little things like that. Or you ask higher self, what restaurant am I to go to, this one or this one? And your higher self tells you the one you want, that not the one you thought you would pick, but a different one. And that you show up and you run into somebody you've been looking for.
Mhm,
These
mhm.
kinds of things start to happen. So now your personality, your ego has the ability to reflect on that and get it, that your higher self is always right. The other thing I ask people to do is do all your research first, do all your due diligence. If you're going to buy a car, test drive the car, do all the research you're going to do,
Mhm.
and narrow it down, and then ask your higher self, which of the top 3 cars am I to buy? You might
Right.
actually be told no on all of them, and then you'd know to wait. There may be something better coming along. Your neighbor is deciding to sell their car that you've admired for years. You just don't know when you get a no why that is. So the higher self, the third thing that happens is there are long-term benefits that
Okay.
you could not possibly predict.
Right.
And so that long drawn out story that I told, take it out even further, and you will begin to see, in hindsight, how much your higher self takes you on this path. And keep in mind, most people in this call are actively working towards their spiritual growth, and they're making good decisions. But if you can make the highest and best decision every single time, what happens is your life is so much easier, and you
Right.
get so much more done, and you're so much happier. I have
Mhm.
a guy in India, or excuse me, Australia. He is Indian, but he's in Australia. And he said to me in a class last week, I used my higher self to make a curry, and I put all kinds of ingredients in it that I would never have thought of putting in. And it was the best curry I've ever made.
Oh my gosh.
Hilarious.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I cook with my higher self as well. But for a
That's
man to
cool.
volunteer that was his experience this week was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I've always used my intuition when I cooked, but I never really even thought about using my higher self when it came to that. You have a story about black helicopters. What is
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Tell us that.
Well, when I wrote about the black helicopters years and years ago, and by the way, before I forget, one of
What?
the things I wanted to say is, this book does not teach you the Merkaba, but I do have a DVD training
Okay.
that will teach you the Merkaba.
Yes.
This is a yummy follow-up for it. But the black helicopters keep coming. And initially, I didn't tell anybody about it because I didn't want to scare anybody. You might have this experience. until one day somebody had an experience before the class. And I realized that the black helicopter people, whoever they are, were time traveling and,
Oh, no.
going to her beforehand. And
Okay.
this has happened a bunch of times. I interviewed someone for membership in the Ascension Institute. Turned out they were traveling when we were going to do the classes, so they decided they couldn't do it. But before the class, and she lives near an Air Force base. Her husband is a pilot. She knows how to recognize planes. And this black helicopter was 50 feet off the ground outside her office window. And, an hour or two before she was interviewed by me. And what was
it doing there? Why was it there?
Well, number one, there were no markings on it. Number two, it had cameras aimed at her.
What?
Yeah, pretty crazy. Now, why are they there? God only knows. What I think is that they are exploring the
people who are raising their consciousness.
Exactly. And the field.
Sorry, I'm a psychic.
Yeah, you must be psychic.
Yeah, I must be high.
This Merkaba field.
What?
Once it gets going, it's spinning. And once you turn it on, you've activated a field in your energy field. And those guys are tracking what I will call anomalies. And you show up as an anomaly. So they have to check you out. Now, it is my opinion that they won't do anything to you and they're not going to cause any kind of a problem. But it's crazy, it's annoying, it's scary, it's frustrating. So I wrote a whole chapter about people's experiences because
this is the craziest thing, Maureen.
Because I didn't want them to be quite so intimidated. And one person said, "Oh, well, I think black helicopters are fun." Bad idea. So, you don't want to invite that. I had a woman recently tell me she was driving down the freeway in Long Island and a black helicopter came between her and the car in front of her. So in a way, it's a little bit of intimidation,
I wonder, yeah. And again, I don't know. I feel like it's almost a curiosity.
Well, for sure it is curiosity because they're checking you out, but it's almost like they're creating a matrix that pulls people a certain way.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. So what can you tell us about the future?
Okay, so in this book, again, written almost 15 years ago.
No, I can't believe it.
The 3 Earths.
Okay,
and
talk to us about that.
Just ignored it. And now it's a thing. Okay, so there's the crash and burn Earth, there's the do-over Earth, and then there's the ascending Earth. Mm-hmm. The crash and burn Earth is pretty self-explanatory. The do-over Earth is full of the people that we love and know that have refused to accept that there's galactic helpers, that there's reincarnation, that there's multiple versions of the reality. They're like wanting to stay in, I'll call it the dark ages for, with whatever their belief system is.
Yeah.
And they've handed off their belief system to somebody else. And then somebody else is telling them, no, this is how it is. And they want to trust that person rather than trusting themselves. Mm-hmm. So those are the do-overs because they got to figure out how to learn to trust themselves. And that's another reason why the higher self thing is so important, because when you have this inner awareness that is guiding you, what happens is you're where you need to be no matter what. I was told to go home before 9/11. I was in New York City and I was told that I needed to go home,
Wow. I didn't know that, Maureen.
Yeah. I had a workshop. I was planning on flying home on September 11th. I had like 2 big workshops. I had 40 people signed up. I went to buy my airline ticket and I couldn't buy the return on September 11th. And I hadn't asked my higher self for a day off. I was just taking a day off, right? Okay. And when I went to buy the ticket, it was like, no, you can't do this. And so when, what do you do when you're told no? Well, maybe I should be canceling the workshop. No, don't have to cancel the workshop. So what am I to do? And I was told, go home immediately after the workshop. Well, the workshop didn't end until like 7 o'clock on Sunday night. So I couldn't get a flight that night, but I did fly on the very first flight Monday morning. And when I canceled all the stuff I had scheduled for Monday, everyone said, well, why are you canceling? And my answer was, I don't know. I just know I have to be home. Maybe my kids will need me. Maybe I'll get an important phone call. I don't know. Tuesday morning, I knew why.
Wow, that is an incredible story. Now I just want to ask, so when you went to buy the ticket, did you ask before you bought the ticket, or did that information just come to you?
I did not ask before I bought the ticket. I asked my higher self if I should return to New York back in April.
Okay.
I asked my higher self when I was told yes. I was given the dates on when to return.
Okay.
In August, when I went to buy the ticket, since the other two things were already, I'll say, approved by my higher self. And again, your higher self is not giving you permission. Your higher self is giving you information that you decide to follow. So you're never being told what to do. You're always using your free will. So by the time I got to buying the ticket, I already knew that the class was supposed to occur and, what I was supposed to be teaching and the dates. So when I went to buy the ticket, as you say, I was filled with this foreboding and this strong, the best way I know how to describe it is when you play the game of Monopoly and you get that card that says, go straight to jail, do not collect money.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, don't go there, Okay, so
that's great. That's what you got.
That's a way to describe it.
Okay.
And so when I got that strong sensation, no, do not do this, I asked higher self, what am I to do? Because I was seriously willing to cancel the class, which was a lot of money with 40 students.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I didn't have to cancel the class. And
but you knew that you weren't supposed to. That was an intuition thing too, and higher self.
My higher self telling me, fly. And then when I asked, I was told, fly home immediately after class, as soon as you can get on a flight. So I did.
Crazy. That's crazy.
And a lot of people knew I was in New York and didn't know I had gotten home early.
Oh my gosh.
And the second class, the advanced class that I taught on Monday, was it Monday? No, it would have been Friday, was a mile from ground zero. So we anchored a lot of light into the area
before.
Mm-hmm.
God bless. What do you want to leave us with today? We got to get out of here.
My pleasure. It's always fun. We always get to explore and discover new stuff.
I know. We have fun. Thanks, Maureen, for coming on today. Hey, you guys, if you want a psychic reading, go to my website, nancyyearout.com, and click on book. Make sure you check out my Nice News with Nancy on Sunday. That's my new thing that I'm doing. So check that out. I'd appreciate it. It's on YouTube. And Maureen, thank you for coming on. It's always such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. Her book is called Beyond the Flower of Life. You guys, you got to pick this up. Her website is MaureenSt.Germain.com. This is Nancy Yearout, and this is High Road to Humanity, and we'll see you next time. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.
Connect the dots and keep the motion. Can achieve your goal. Let's hit the high road.
Hey, you guys, join me next week on The High Road for more stories filled with wisdom, love, and hope for our future. Have a fabulous week, and know that by staying on the high road, you will make it to your destination. Visit my website, nancyyearout.com, where you can book a private session to learn how to tap into your own abilities. And check out my YouTube channel. It's Nancy Yearout's High Road to Humanity.
You can achieve your goal.